Welcome to Weekdays with TCF, presented by The Loop Sports. I am Zach Lilia. You can follow me at ZLilia, TCF, L-A-L-J-A. Follow the main page at typical_Chicago, at the Loop _sports. You are watching us on Typical Chicago Fans Facebook Live. You can, I think the Loop Sports usually shares it for us. And then Instagram, The Loop Sports, and Typical Chicago Fans.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter. Down here in the hard hat, I'm Boomy. Make sure you follow me at BoomyTCF.
They can't miss you.
They can't miss the shiny, lovely hard hat. I came prepared just in case one of these balls from Cincinnati reaches here. But anyway, like I said, at BoomyTCF. If you are an Apple user, you can find us on Apple Podcasts. If you're not, you can find us on Spotify. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Spotify. You can also find all of our videos on YouTube. Go ahead and go over to YouTube and type in Typical Chicago Fans, smash that red follow or subscribe button. I can't remember. I think it's subscribe.
Yeah.
We got some other guests tonight. So,
What's up, guys? Gameboy here. You can follow me on Twitter at TCF Gameboy. If you want to buy one of our shirts, they are $15. If you buy locally here, we can drop it off. You can come pick it up. Otherwise, $20 if we have to ship it. If you're interested, just make sure you DM one of us or one of the main pages, and we'll get that to you as soon as possible.
and as you guys know, it is a big PGA week, so we have our local golf expert. We have Troy Bauer back in the house. Where can the folks follow you?
TB Golfing, TBGOLFN.
Did you have to
Twitter,
write that down because you didn't remember last time?
No, yeah. Well, last time I kind of changed it up because it was my Twitter from back when I was young, and it was young
TB
and dumb.
Golfing.
You're officially unprivate. You're unprivate now. So.
Yeah, not.
You're welcome.
Public, you mean?
You're welcome, TCF.
Unprivate. I just like to say unprivate. I kind of like to say that. You have.
Well, I had to put all the master tweets out for Typical Chicago. So.
Are you going to be doing that maybe Saturday, Sunday this weekend? Because that's a lot.
Probably at least Sunday. Saturday.
That was. I mean, how many did you say you did on Masters Sunday?
Oh, I don't know. It was like
60.
Yeah, it was like 75. I like
quite a
tripled
few.
my
I'm
tweets
pretty
of my
sure
lifetime.
it was more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but today is May 15th. But let's sadly get into what happened last night. The Chicago Bulls dropped to the 7th pick. If you really think about it, though, the top 4 teams, where I think number 1 was the Knicks. They ended up with the 3 seed. 2 was the Suns. They got the 6 seed. Cavs were 4th. They ended up getting the 5, and the Bulls were 4th. Did I say that wrong? Bulls were 4th, and they got the 7th seed. Mm-hmm. So, and I think the Pelicans, if you really think about it, the Pelicans, I think I heard they lost 16 of their last 19 games to end the season. So they kind of tanked in the right way, but they're right in the middle. I am an idiot, and I didn't really realize that the odds made it harder for the top teams to be getting the top pick. So I got taught last night.
Yeah, it's
also needs to slow down.
Right.
That they went right through that.
They did a 2-hour prelude into it. And it took 8
for
minutes.
a 30-second show.
Well, I mean, how dramatic can you make grabbing some different pinballs, though? I mean,
But they should go back. But they just open envelopes.
Yeah.
It's all done
I just saw the results
pre-show.
of it.
But and Zach, yes, you are an idiot, but we love you anyway. But I feel like you're not the only person, because when they changed the rules a couple years ago, it was kind of hard to follow, and I can see where you get the confusion. So if there is confusion out there, what happens is the NBA wants to go away from tanking. So what they did was they made it used to be like the first team with the worst record got 25% chance to get the number 1 overall pick. Well, then teams were trying to tank for that. So what they did was they lowered those odds down so that all 3 teams could find their way to the number 1 pick a little bit easier. And to be honest, if that's what the NBA wanted, that's exactly what they gave us last night.
Because last night was a big lesson for teams that would like to tank, that it's not going to matter.
Yeah,
because the Bulls tanked, the Suns tanked, the Knicks tanked, they all tanked, and some teams just kind of stunk, but some teams they tanked in the process because, like we said, with the Bulls, they had players at the end of the season that probably could have been playing. But they were really never healthy all at the same time throughout the season. But at the end, it didn't really matter. And the Cavs, I think J.R. Smith just wasn't on the team the rest of the year. He just kind of got to go do whatever he wanted to do. Kevin Love was hurt for a lot of it.
Did you know J.R. Smith is now sober?
Really?
Yeah.
Sounds weird.
I read that on.
So he's done.
Yeah, he's never going to be the same guy.
He will always wear a shirt.
Yeah, I got some love for the hard hat, even though these guys were giving me a hard time about it. Blair, I'll be at work tomorrow, buddy.
I don't think that's possible, though. He said, I saw a report today that Zion may consider going back to Duke. I think if you've signed an agent.
But I don't know if he.
No, you can sign an agent and still go back now.
The NCAA
Yeah,
keeps
they've changed
finagling
it.
that rule.
But he said if he doesn't like the situation in New Orleans, so like if he's drafted.
No. If it'll be before the draft.
No, you can do it after you get drafted.
Okay,
No,
really?
No, now he can. Yeah.
Yeah,
so now
it's
he
after
can.
the draft lottery.
But now he
before-
knows where he's going to go. So
There's
he
like
could
a
go
date
back.
where they have to make a decision. Are they going to stay in the draft?
He's
or are
not
they
going back to
leave?
Duke. He's going to the NBA.
Let's be honest.
I get the whole thing where you would maybe he'll do Eli Manning though, where he asked to not be picked. But yeah,
I don't see that. From
And he
him,
has
though.
not signed one. And I think Blair just chimed in that he has not signed an agent. I think if there's one guy I would agree.
One because he knows what he's going to get.
But if he's going to stay, then he's going to jump on one real quick just because of
he
the
can
money.
Really wait till the day before because he knows he knows he's going to get the deals.
Yes.
But I think it was you who told me last night that missing out on New York and Los Angeles is almost like $100 million.
Yeah,
difference
and that came
in advertisement
from Darren Ravel. Endorsements, yeah.
Sure.
The difference in being able to market someone in New York or Los Angeles versus being able to market someone in Memphis or New Orleans was around $100 million. And I don't know where Darren Ravel got that number, but it does make sense because you're not going to be able to. I mean, you would have been able to push someone a little bit more if they're in that major market like New York. Now, my question to you guys is: this good or bad for the NBA? The way things shook down last night.
I think it shows that it's not rigged. If it was rigged, it would have been Los Angeles or New York. They're not going NBA. I mean, I guess in a way maybe they rigged it so then maybe New Orleans will get a little bit of love. But I still don't. I guess if Zion goes down there and it leads into a championship, but I don't think it's going to turn the culture for basketball in New Orleans just with that player.
Yeah.
And then Memphis is going to get John Morant. He goes from Murray State to Memphis.
Yep.
So the top two picks just make it seem like there's no way it was rigged. I mean, I guess as a Bulls fan, we can try and think it was because we're mad about it. I do want to go.
But there's no way the NBA would
I want to know what the process was.
If you guys didn't see Zilo's reaction on Twitter yesterday, it's probably the best thing on the internet. You need to go look at it.
Pretty
It was
hilarious.
tough because we knew it could go bad, but that went as bad
If it was not me sitting there, that video would have ended 10 seconds after the Bulls got picked 7th because you were like, turn this stupid thing off. Kyle Schwarber just hit another bomb.
Sure.
But Zach was ready to cut that thing real quick, and Zach put the mic down. He didn't want to talk, so I was like, no dead air. But if you haven't watched it, go to Zach's Twitter and watch the video because it is hilarious.
I think a lot of Bulls fans they're mad because, and they weren't mad. You're upset. You're not really mad.
Oh, I'm
mad in the moment, but you're upset because you tanked for this whole season, and that's what you're going to end with.
Exactly.
And people on the radio, on sports radio today, were going, "You can't be mad. You can't be mad." But all year they sold you on your tanking for 1 through 3 because you're going for the RJ Barrett too. But then you get the 7, and I know the Bulls have no control over it, and Gar and Pax aren't in there making deals to get the one.
They should have.
But it is disappointing because I mean, we've been talking. We're arguing about who we want on the team, but you're going to get a guy who's not going to probably make you a playoff contender with his skills right away.
No,
he maybe
take a couple years for they get
a few years down the road, but I just don't see what's going to. Maybe the Bulls can compete for an 8th seed next year, but it kind of is in a way sad to see what the season next year is most likely going to look like.
So, and me and you went back and forth on this on Twitter this morning. I was obviously not happy with the way things shook down last night, but I woke up this morning feeling good. I was going to a baseball game for work, and I'm like, let's make the best of this. Like, let's legitimately see what happens at 7. And my problem is that in the back of my mind, I know the idiots that are running this team. So they're going to find a way to screw this up. But as of right now, having the 7th pick is not the worst thing in the world. We could be in a lot worse places. So I'm going to give you guys some names here, and you guys just kind of tell me how you feel. And I'm just looking at a mock draft that I pulled up. Now, the first guy I'm going to throw out is Colby White. He's the kid from North Carolina that I want. They have him projected at 5 going to Cleveland. What are your guys' thoughts on Colby White?
Before we go any farther, you said it's about as bad as it could get because I think 8 was as low as they could have fallen.
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
I think it was 8.
In a way,
but at the end of the day, 7's not.
I know, but
they deserve 7.
Yes,
they deserve. That's why I wasn't mad when it was like, okay, so the Knicks and Lakers getting 3 and 4 instead of 1 and 2. I'm fine with because all the teams that were poorly ran this year from an organization standpoint, Like they should not be rewarded for that.
Yes.
Okay, number one, like Magic Johnson, that whole debacle with Anthony Davis is a travesty, like on their part. Like they screwed that whole team up. Like the Knicks are just a train wreck. The Bulls are a train wreck. Why reward the front offices of those teams by giving them the 1 and 2 picks? I'm fine with. I know it loses out like money for those guys, like
It's
Zion,
not fair to the fans. It's fair to Garpax.
Exactly,
It's fair
100%.
to the Reinsdorf. It's fair to Jim Boylan for the way they ran the thing. But I'll bring it back. What are your guys' thoughts on Kobe White?
I think he's going to be a average to solid player in the NBA. I don't think he's going to be special. I think he's got the size that you look for in an NBA point guard and being 6'5", like that puts you over top. I thought he shot
the ball real well in the
but
NCAA tournament at times.
I just look at him and I don't see an NBA like I don't say elite. I don't say an all-star level point guard.
But
in him.
see, that's kind of the problem. You said Cam Reddish. Yes, I would like to get Cam Reddish, but there's not really a lot of guys in this draft that look like they're going to be all-stars right away or impact a team right away. And that's why they put so much emphasis on wanting the 1 and 2 seed because really this year it's really top-heavy.
Absolutely.
It's Zion, and then it still goes down. I mean, John Morant, I like what he does. He played at Murray State, so it's kind of you look at a Markelle Fultz who went number 1. He was at Oakland, right?
No, he was
Markelle
at
Fultz went to
Washington. Sorry, but it wasn't like a huge school. And look what I mean. You just don't know. And I mean, anything can happen. There's so many busts that go to big schools and are bust. But this year, there's just not a lot of guys that you're looking at. You're like, oh my gosh, you really want this guy? I really want this guy.
Now with Kobe White, like the thing to remember is like obviously, Zach, we went back and forth on this. Like it's not going to be an automatic impact right away. Kobe White turned 19 years old 3 months ago. So it's one of those things you have to remember that you're getting projects because you're not going to find an impact guy at that time. Now, another name I'm going to throw out, and this is a name that I think is a little bit controversial because of the fact I think he missed most of the season this year with a torn ACL, and that's Darius Garland from Vanderbilt. Nice point guard. But how would you guys feel? Would this be a typical Garpax taking a kid coming off of an ACL injury?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be spun that way at first, but I don't. If you really think about it, somebody's going to have something to say about anyone they take at this 7, unless Cam Reddish comes out. Even at Cam
Reddish is actually the next name I'm going to bring because they actually have him going 8th overall to Atlanta.
But
I see if he's around, he got
I agree.
I don't put much stock in NBA because you look at all these mock drafts. There's so many different ones and so many different styles of. Right. And I'm not saying that but
I've actually seen multiple ones that have Cam Reddish between 8 and 10. I've seen Cam Reddish as low as 12. And I think if he's there, you take that risk. I mean, him coming out of high school with the potential. I didn't think he had a great year at Duke, but I feel like he has some of those intangibles that you can mold into an NBA, like a solid NBA.
In a league of spacing that is today, you put him on the outside, like he's going to knock down some shots, which is something that they do not have.
Right.
So you need that.
I get that, but if there's going to be a reason why he's not going to just fall to 10 for no reason.
Right. Oh yeah.
I'm not saying that he's not going to be.
There's a reason he's not the third
pick.
He's
dropping from the 3 to 4 to down all the way to 10.
Yes.
What do you guys think the benefits are if they trade back?
I actually think there's something to be said about that. I think there's a lot. Yeah.
Right. They love getting cash consideration or
which I don't like.
Do you think what if they trade back to then trade up next year? Like let's say next year they don't get a good draft pick in or they do better and they get like the 10th, but maybe they could trade up to like the 5 next year because the 5 wants to trade back.
I actually think, and to your point, Troy, that I think there's something to be said about looking into the possibility of trading up to the 2 this year if you really are convinced that Ja Morant is the guy because Ja Morant plays point guard. Mike Conley is one of the highest paid players in the NBA. The Grizzlies are not going to be able – they tried at the break to move him. He is not going to be that easy to just bounce away.
I'm going to ask a little devil's advocate question, and it's not even actually that far off. Could Ja Morant have a better NBA career than Zion Williams?
Yeah, I think
he could.
The body type and what Zion carries, like how long are those legs gonna
I mean, Zion is
6'7" too.
Yeah. I think he's not even.
If he was 6'11" and weighed 290,
he's kind of a positionless player, which is kind of what they is today.
He's 19 years old. I mean, at the end of the day.
But Ja Morant could be a Steve Nash. I mean, the way he distributes the ball.
He was the only player in 20 years.
He could very easily be Russell Westbrook.
Right.
I want to say I saw a stat the other day. He was the last player in 20 years to average 10 assists a game. in Division One.
All right, can I ask you? We're talking about players. I'm looking at this. So the Bulls in 2015, 2016 were 42-40.
Mm-hmm.
They got 9th in the East. The 2016-17 they were 41-41. I think they were the 8th seed. They lost in the first
That was
round.
with D Wade and Rondo.
And then 17-18 they were 27-55. And then this year they were 22-60.
Yeah.
At what point do we start to get a little? I mean, I know we're already a little tired of the rebuild, but how long can you rebuild a team? How long do you get? I mean, I get.
See, that's actually a really good question. I've thought about that too. You can't continue to rely on tanking and
Yes.
the lottery
And the draft.
because it's shown you that
You have to
You've
get,
gotten the
you have
seven-
to get free
yeah.
agents. You have to get big
The
players
one
that
in-
come to
you've
Chicago.
gotten the
Number
7
one
pick now 3 years in a row. You kind of have to go a different direction. I mean, they're not going to get big free agents, but you have to look to make a trade maybe,
Yeah.
or get some just
You gotta
veteran
do
That
players
close
so you can
back
help.
when LeBron and D-Wade were
Yeah.
going to come to
The
Chicago.
1
They
and 2
didn't.
pick were both 33 and 49 this year.
Yeah.
Which is not terrible. They probably they tanked at the end of the season kind of, but in a way they did not tank throughout the season. It wasn't on their mind. Like you said, last night really put the kibosh on
Great word.
tanking.
Cubs are
Tanking.
tied.
Cubs
Kibosh.
just gave up a home run.
Well, that's not good. But yeah, it was just disappointing. And like you said, we can be as disappointed as we want. It's going to be what they do in the draft and what they do with this pick. And then I think they have the 30-something pick in the second round. So we'll see what they do with that. But really true. I mean, you can't do anything about it. There was nothing that the Bulls did really wrong
This
last
bullpen
night.
just blew you Darvish's win.
Yeah, Darvish had a productive night.
Um,
I know it didn't look good on the stats, but
We have a good question from Pigoy,
I did
and
look at the stats.
it's something to what I brought up. If the Bulls were to trade up to the second pick, what are some pieces that you guys think they could offer in a deal? The only thing is you would have to include cash. You'd have to include guys like Chris Dunn.
yeah,
You'd
my
have to-
problem
Chris
is if
Dunn to
you want to move up to that, you're going to have to get rid of players that are going to try and help you get out of the rebuild. So you're
Yeah.
kind of going to go one step forward, but another step back.
Right.
I don't know. It depends if they can get him for a good deal, but you don't want to trade crazy because then you trade up to get the 2 and you get John Morant. And yes, you want him to be a great player and this and that, but if he doesn't, then you just traded somebody who is already in the system and you've already banked on.
Who would you guys say is like, obviously there's no one on the team that is no trade, but that you guys would like to see come back and stay part of this rebuild?
Laurie.
Laurie,
Laurie
I like
Markkinen.
Wendell Carter. I think that he's going to work out.
And
the
also
year.
Wendell Carter's 20 years old.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we forget
And
about
with
that.
Chris Dunn,
Like,
even
Well,
with
Laurie
that,
Markkinen's
we hate on
21.
Chris Dunn,
Yeah.
right. Chris Dunn 23, 24 still.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's still pretty young because he came right out of. I mean, he came
1
like,
year of
one
college.
year.
Yeah,
Denzel, I want to
No,
give.
I'm
Denzel's
about
gone.
gone on him.
Get him out.
I get that, but did he play a game last year? I just want to see what maybe he got a whole year. I'm not going to say he's going to be there throughout the rebuild, but you got to give him a chance next year.
I
Otto
think he's
Porter?
going to be worse.
I like Otto Porter. I think that trade
Oh,
worked
Well,
out
no
well.
one's going to take that trade, though, if
Yeah.
he's offered, because that's a lot of money.
No,
So
but
that's
I'm saying,
part of the reason was the Bulls took – I know,
Right,
like,
because
they're
of a
not
bad
gonna-
signing.
they're not going to re-sign him when his contract is up.
Right.
Oh yeah, we got Jo here who is a Reds fan. Get out of here, please.
Yeah, can we block him for
I'm
the
just
night?
kidding. Love you, Jo. But yeah, it's the Bulls. What is it?
Again, and I'll say this till
We're
I'm blue
stuck.
in the face.
The
Blue in the
place?
face.
The place.
Basketball purgatory, man. It's exactly what it
Yep.
is. There's
Mhm.
just
And
too
you're not.
much
Don't
going
feel
on.
bad because there's a lot of teams that are kind of in it. The Knicks are in it. The Cavs are in it. The Suns are in it because you were in a spot where yes, you thought if you lost all these games, you were.
The
going
Cavs
to
have
get
been
the
in
one.
it for 1 year, though.
Well, yeah, but they're screwed now. Like who?
But it worked out. I mean, it got.
Oh
them
yeah, you
a
got championships. You can't
got
get mad about
Kyrie
it.
Irving
But
out of it.
they are. There's no like look. The future does not look good for the Cleveland
No.
Cavaliers right
No.
now because there's no. You had LeBron James, and that's why you could get any free agent you wanted. He leaves. You're
Definitely.
not going to get any free agents.
Jo had a point. He said the only thing that can make things better is a complete rebuild of the front office. I'm like, yeah, I mean, we've been saying that for
I like
For
what you say there,
years.
but
It's just not going to
it's
happen.
just not
Michael
gonna happen.
Reinsdorf was on the other day before the draft. They are very happy. They kept going back to the Derrick Rose era. And you go to the Derrick Rose era, it's exactly what the Pelicans did last night. The Bulls got
Yes.
even more lucky than the Pelicans got last night to get Derrick Rose at the number 1 pick. And then you get him, and yes, they had the best record, I think, 2 years straight. I think either Eastern Conference or overall. And they had the run with Jimmy Butler, Joakim. He had brought all those guys, and you had some fun for a few years. But you can't just rely on a front office that, what was that, 4 years ago, 5 years ago when that happened. You can't just keep going back to that.
Yeah.
Be like, oh, we're keeping
The
it
times
because
have
of 4 or 5 years
changed.
ago.
Yeah, the
I'll never
basketball's
trust the
definitely
free-
changed.
I'll never trust the front office says I want to get younger and faster, and then sign Dwayne Wade and is aging Dwayne Wade and Rajon Rondo. But you get rid of Derrick Rose. That makes zero sense.
Because those signs would have made sense when they were on the run.
Yes.
Because teams like with LeBron, they brought in veterans like that, but they brought them in at the wrong time. I don't know if Dwayne Wade was just trying to get some fans there to make people happy. But I would say, yes, you're right, but that's not going to happen. Jared Reinsdorf is not going to get rid of Garpax.
We're again basketball purgatory, man.
I know.
Let's move on and talk about something better.
Let's talk about
I'm
the
so
NBA.
sad.
Anything better,
The
yeah.
NBA playoffs last night. The Golden State Warriors got off to a great start.
Do you think they're going to somehow win that series in 3 games?
Yeah, shoot. The way they finished last night, they might as well.
I think that the Portland will get at least one game, maybe.
What's
back
with
in
you
Portland.
saying and then the team's name?
Portland, whatever.
The Golden State, the Portland.
The Portland Trailblazers. You can say that.
I agree with
Yeah,
that.
but you didn't finish.
I
it.
agree
you
with
just said
Zito.
the
One game
Portland.
at home.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
They're not going to
It's
take one on the road.
It doesn't
They're-
really matter. Steph's going
It's going to be a
crazy.
sweep in both
Steph had
leagues.
more points than Lillard and McCollum combined.
Sweep in both leagues.
Who's sleeping in the East?
Milwaukee.
So
Well,
did-
right now,
okay.
Raptors are up 8 points ahead.
You also
but-
picked-
So
You
First
also
half.
picked the Raptors originally to go to the NBA Finals.
I changed my mind. And listen, you change and adapt. all
I'm
right?
the one who said
The
Bucks were
person I
going.
was 2 weeks ago is not the
You want-
person I am today.
I also
you
really
wanna
quick,
know who
'cause I
is
didn't have
a-
a chance last week. I just want to say I did call Bucks in 5.
But I would like to show. I'll screenshot the tweets from after the game where you were a little nervous.
You want to
about
know
it,
who
so-
is a lifelong Milwaukee Bucks fan?
Nobody.
Tom Bauer.
Is he really?
Lifelong.
I love it because
Your dad is a
He will pick
Bucks
He will
fan?
pick the Bucks over the Bulls every day of the week, twice on Sunday. It's all because when he was younger. I mean, when Michael Jordan was, and
Yeah.
he's from Illinois, Chicago, he would root for the Bulls, but he's always been a Bucks fan.
I did not know that.
So he's rooting hard. He's a big
I'm with
Greek freak fan.
Well, good. I did not know that. I mean, I'm cheering for him. I mean, it's hard for me to cheer for a team from Milwaukee, but Giannis is just too fun to watch right now.
And I get that, but I think that Kawhi will be able to tame him a little bit in some games because I think he'll be able to play some good defense. That's Kawhi. I mean, Kawhi he'll do whatever it takes to win.
Oh, I don't really think they're going to sweep. I'm just kind of talking about my ass down.
I do think the Bucks win though, and I'm
Yeah.
saying I'm actually gonna say Bucks in 7.
I
think it goes,
think it'll end in 6.
I think it goes a full 7.
I mean, the Bucks
I
do have
wouldn't-
Mirotic.
It
I mean-
depends.
I mean, come on,
You know that
guys.
Come on.
You know Kawhi is going to
Beardless.
show up
Yeah.
every game. It's going to be the bench players and the
Will
other
Kyle
guys
Lowry
for
do
Toronto.
anything?
No,
Charge.
No.
Can't
He'll
do
take
Take a
anything.
dump is what it'll take.
He'll take a charge all day, every day.
He's good for 13 points
Quick
a
little
game.
thing here. The
Yeah, and
Cavaliers
6
lost their
turnovers.
last 10 games of the year.
Yeah, they stunk.
They were not good.
And they got the 5th pick.
Well, the Bulls were 2-8 the last 10 too. So, but look what that worked out for.
Yeah,
them so
exactly. The NBA got what they wanted, man. Yeah, so
Look, I can't
speaking of playoffs, you guys watching the NHL at all?
well. No, I want St. Louis to lose, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm in a
Boston is
tough
looking like
spot.
the powerhouse
Yeah,
that
I don't
said
want to
they
talk
were.
about that.
The thing
Yeah,
they're going
but-
to be going for the sweep.
I still don't want the Blues to win either.
I don't want the Blues or the Bruins to win, and
We're
I'm
Blackhawks
just
fans. You
yeah.
can't root for the
I
Blues.
refuse to cheer for any. So I went to the Peoria Chiefs game today with our students, and
Is that why you look
that's
like
why
a
I'm
tomato?
fried over here. But anyway, they were all cheering for the Chiefs just because they're the home team. And everybody's like, "Why are you cheering for the Beloit Snappers?" I'm like, "Well, because the Chiefs belong to the Cardinals. I'm not cheering for anybody that belongs to the Cardinals." And everybody was very disappointed in me. I thought you guys would like that, but I refuse. I can't do it. But I did watch a kid who turned 19 last week. He has like 9 home runs already, and they've had the season going for like 3 weeks.
Jesus.
This kid, I can't remember his first name, but I think Norman is his last name. Kid is a 19th overall pick. Signed a $3.2 million contract. He probably has more money than all of us fans in the crowd today.
Oh,
Kid
What's
is. I mean,
he
he's
doing down there though.
We went
He
down
just got
for a field
drafted.
trip.
Oh, he just got drafted.
Oh, he got drafted last year. I thought you said, what was I doing
a
down?
lot of money.
Yeah, he got drafted last year. He played rookie ball, and then he was up in Peoria at the end of last year and started the year off. He'll be up in AA by the end of the year, they're saying. He's their number their number one prospect. Kid's good.
That's a slow process though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, think about Chris Bryant.
No,
It took 2.5 years.
He was in the minor for 2.5
Yeah.
years. I guess I didn't really realize that.
Bryce Harper might be the fastest player I remember that got to the.
I don't
Yeah,
think
he
he
was
ever
still.
played.
He was no, he
18,
was
right?
there for a year. He played a whole summer in.
Summer.
Because he went to the minor when he was 17.
Yeah,
correct?
he
And then
got
was
drafted.
18
So he
when
played. So he got drafted in June. He played the entire year in minor league, and then the next year he came up in
We
like
dropped out of school, went to a junior college,
Yeah.
and then did that.
yeah. So he got drafted in June. He played the whole year in the minors. Then the next year he came up in like May or June. So he was a minor leaguer for a year.
For about 4 months. How long is it?
Well, I think he went and played extended season ball. In Arizona.
I think at that point they already had Strasburg, and they were kind of shutting them down at some point,
Yes.
which was kind of weird. Which I get. But
So he spent a total of like a calendar year in the minors, but that's it. Speaking of baseball, let's jump into it.
If you're gonna drop out of school and go to junior college, I hope that's your route, because you better be doing that.
The
for a good
Cubs
reason.
pissing away my guy Yu Darvish's first
Looking
win.
at Darvish here too. His start 5 1/3 with 11 strikeouts.
No walks.
No walks.
That's the biggest thing.
Through 4 innings, he had 7 full counts.
That's nuts. But he's able to get out of them like that.
Yeah,
But that's the
struck
thing
out
with
3
him.
2/3 of innings. He only pitched 5 1/3. I mean,
He's like a drug. It's the highs and the lows. I mean, he comes out today and gives you 11
This
strikeouts.
is my guy Austin Bloomberg. He's from the Loop Sports. He put through 4 innings. Yu Darvish has gone to a full count 7 times,
Yikes.
generating 5 strikeouts, 3 looking, with 2 weekly hit outs. The pitch count was 80, but he had 0 walks and 8 Ks through 4.
And that's the only complaint is the pitch count.
Well, yeah.
That
I mean,
is
with
it.
him and his stuff, though, the way he throws, that's just a part of him. You know, like I don't know if that's ever going to change because of the junk he throws.
Who went into the 9th inning, the bullpen should be ready for
Exactly.
guys like this. And I guess you can't. You do put it on the bullpen because
It's
you
a depleted
are put there.
bullpen.
What?
It's a depleted bullpen though without Strop.
Yeah, but you had a.
But you've also, like
Zach
Zach said, you've had Kyle Hendricks for his last 3 starts has gone 7+. He went
No,
2
I agree
9.
with what you're
what
saying.
about
You're
Hendricks like a
seeing-
week ago? A complete
Yeah,
game with
it-
81.
Well, then you're
pitches.
seeing even John Lester going into the 7th and 8th
Oh, yeah.
inning,
John
and
Lester
Cole
was
Hamels,
one-
when he's at his best, is going into the 7th and 8th. Like you can, we're in a very good spot where we can afford you, Darvish, only going 5 1/3 or going 6 innings.
Is Darvish still on a pitch count?
No, he
No.
threw 103 today, I think.
Okay.
So no, I
Okay.
don't believe
Really,
it.
it's not really pitch counts. It's what they feel like. If he's in
Right.
a good spot, they try to take him out, which they haven't been doing a lot lately. But yeah, if you got 103, you don't really.
Yeah.
It's almost like they had to take care of his mental health more than his physical health at this
Yeah,
point.
but
it
like you
does.
said, you
It does
should-
seem
you
that
should
Get
get
way.
him comfortable.
With this bullpen has done over the last month or so, you should be able to trust your bullpen. To go
Exactly.
into Cincinnati and try to hold down a lead for a guy.
Yep.
And
Carl Edwards comes in and gives up a bomb. I'm pretty sure was the guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
was
it's-
Edwards.
Carl.
you can't.
who had a good, I think he had a good outing last time he was out.
He's had
Yeah.
3 straight good outings, but
Which,
yeah, this
you
one
can't get
hurt.
like with bullpen pitchers, you can't just go off one time.
Yeah,
You're gonna throw them
exactly.
in there, they're gonna have a bad outing.
Right.
But like before we get any further, the Cubs are sitting right now at 25-14. I believe the second best record in the majors, maybe the best, right behind the Astros. But they're playing, I mean, top-notch ball. They're 11 games above 500, hopefully 12 after
They won
tonight.
10 series in a row.
Yeah.
10 or 9.
9 out of 10, I believe. They're 2.5 games above the Brewers, who are in second.
Was the
I
one
think-
they tied with the Angels? Because they
Oh.
tied one with
Yeah,
the
I
Angels.
think you're
and they
right.
only went 1 and
Oh,
1.
I think it's
yeah.
10
They
straight
got the
they
game
haven't.
canceled the
Yeah,
second day
haven't
after.
lost.
So
10 straight they haven't lost.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
one series they tied 2-2.
Yes.
Yeah. So they're on a roll right now. They're the best team in baseball. They're the hottest team in baseball. Now, yeah, does it concern you? Even if they lose this game, like there's still tomorrow. They're still going to be okay. Are there any parts where we feel or you guys have concerns of right now? I mean, what's the biggest threat to the Cubs right now?
I still think it's
The
the bullpen.
bullpen.
I mean, I know they're. I know
It's been a
they're.
month though.
I know
But
their
they've-
ERA is
literally,
really
it's been
good.
2 weeks at the beginning of the season that they haven't been good.
No,
Ever
I
since then, they've
agree.
been
They
solid.
pitched
Okay.
well, but my point is that. So when the Cubs won the World Series in 2016, who was the one guy in the bullpen that got them to the World Series?
Who?
Chapman.
Well, yeah,
right?
but they got
No,
him.
that's what I'm saying. You have to have a guy in the back end of the bullpen that can just be your stud. Somebody who can just
The
give you
Cubs would
3
not
outs
have won
every
that
time.
15-inning
Kimbrel.
game without Chapman the other night.
Okay,
Or not
Kimbrel.
Chapman. I'm sorry. Who came in?
Chatwood.
Chatwood. Yeah.
Chatwood.
No, I mean the Cubs have guys right now I think are good, serviceable guys for a good bullpen. But if you want to win, you have to have that top-notch guy at the back end. And right now, they do not have
And
that.
at what point can you stop? I mean, I love Pedro Strop. He goes out there, gives all your energy, but this is the second time that he's had this injury. And
Exactly.
It's not a good one for a pitcher who is he has a lot of pressure coming off of there.
Mhm.
He pitches
Yeah.
really hard.
I got a question for Boomy because he's not thinking so much the bullpen. Right now, scenario, Game 7 World Series. Cubs are up 1, bases loaded, 2 outs. Are you confident in anyone to come in and get that out?
A healthy Pedro Strop, I am.
Are you?
Yes.
You
100%.
can't guarantee he's going to be healthy is the point.
That's
and
the
same thing
thing,
with Brandon
yeah.
Morrow.
But is he the
So-
only guy you are confident?
No.
To get that 1 out,
No, I actually
can't take
think
a starter.
Kinsler's been really good out of the bullpen. I really
Kyle
like.
Ryan's pitched pretty well.
Yeah, I don't know if
I'm not
bottom of the
Kyle Ryan,
ninth.
I wouldn't
No.
say I'm trusting him, but he's pitching well. He's a guy that you can throw in maybe the 5th or 6th.
Cishek, I've been impressed with
Yeah.
since the first
Yeah,
week.
But he's
Paul
throwing a lot of
I think
innings. You don't know he's going to burn out possibly.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the beauty and the ugliness of baseball is that it's such a long season, but for 2 weeks those guys that I just named were terrible, and I tried to tell everyone like just relax, and it's weathered the storm, and they've come around, and they've actually been a really solid bullpen.
But the
If they can continue this, then yes. But if they start to go streaking again, and you're going to see, don't get me wrong, guys, I know that you're between now and October, the Cubs bullpen is going to go through one more streak where they have a bad week and they give up a bunch of runs. That doesn't mean they're a bad bullpen. But if they can avoid doing that 3 to 4 times before the playoffs, then I think they're fine. And I think there's guys in there like Cishek, like Kinsler that you can trust. And I like Strop. I know, Zach, I agree with you. The reoccurring injury to the leg is not a good thing. But with modern science and modern medicine the way it is now, I think he's going to be okay. It's not an ACL. Yes, it sucks for now. But if he's healthy, give me him. What do you
He
mean?
heals quicker now.
I guess, but like
he
it happened again. So if this modern medicine was so great, I mean, he had problems in spring training with it too. It's just something you don't want your main bullpen pitcher to have is quad injuries and stuff like that.
But if I was betting, if he's going to come back and be the closer going in, yeah, I'm going to bet because it's a hamstring. It's not an ACL. Yes, it might nag, but it's also they're in the time of the year where they can keep him on the injured list for a more extended period of time because it's May.
do you think the Cubs are going to sign someone or bring someone up for the bullpen?
I don't get why you don't go sign Craig Kimbrell right now.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the problem with throwing him in there? What's the problem with having too many arms in there?
You don't quote me on this. I heard it yesterday, and I can't remember all of it. There's a date that it's better if a team signs.
It's. I think it's June
like
1st.
Yeah.
If they sign Craig Kimbrell before June 1st, they have to give up a compensatory pick
Okay.
to
So I think
the
after-
Red Sox
That's what I think after.
in order to sign Craig
I think
Kimbrell.
after June 1st, a lot of teams are.
Well, and that all happened because of the Red Sox with Theo Epstein when he came to the Cubs, because the Red Sox would release these guys and then other teams would sign them and they would get those compensatory picks at the back of the draft, and they ended up doing really, really well on them because they had like 3 or 4 a year, and now teams don't want to give up that compensatory pick.
Right.
And that's why no one has jumped on Craig Kimbrell. So yes, I agree. I will not mind if June 1st the Cubs come out and they sign Craig Kimbrell. But if they want to wait till then I'm fine with that too. I don't think you need to rush into it.
No,
I'm not
you don't have
saying
to rush
you
at
don't.
all.
Right.
I'm saying you
that's
just
the thing.
have to get it done. So not
Exactly.
Kimbrel even. You just need a guy at the back end who needs to be shut down. He needs to be a shutdown guy in the 9th inning.
And who would that be?
Well, that's the thing.
That's
Like,
the thing. He's really,
but-
and other than trading for guys.
Well, so I mean,
he's the only guy
it
out
could be
there.
via trade. A trade is fine.
But who?
Yeah, there's plenty of closers out there that'll be available.
At this
Okay,
point, if
who's the one that's not a good team that would be available?
I'd have to look into it,
Yeah,
but
we have to look
you
into
can't assume there's no closers out there on bad teams that wouldn't be available.
No, but I'm not going to just assume that we're going to fall into a Rollis Chapman again or somebody like that. You can't just assume that hopefully we're going to get.
But you also have to remember
Yeah.
the Cubs are not going to be the only team trying to get Craig Kimbrell. The Cubs are third in line from what I've heard, that he's either going to Milwaukee or Atlanta before I've heard the Cubs even mentioned. So it's not like, I get that we're Cubs fans, but you can't just walk in and say, we're the Cubs, we're going to sign him.
I'm not.
There's
saying
so
that.
many other factors that go into this.
Well, if the
And
Brewers wanted
if
go
we're
back,
going to
they
get
would've
into
signed
a
him by
bidding
now.
war up into the upper 20s for a closer for 5 months, then I don't want it.
who's the Indians closer right now?
Oh, boy. They got rid of Andrew Miller, so I'm not 100% sure.
Because Miller was never their closer. They had a guy
Well,
for
he
a
was the
9.
setup, man.
Trying to think, because the Indians right now are on a free fall.
Yeah.
And if that continues, they might look to trade everybody. If that's the case, that might be a guy you look into. I forget his name right now, but
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I can't come up with a name right now either. But there's going to be people available. Even guys, there's a lot of times what you'll find is guys who were setup men on good teams that teams are willing to go away with that can turn into close. I mean, that's what Pedro
Brandon
Strop
Morrow
was
is that
not a
too.
closer when he got traded
I
to the
still don't
Cubs.
see
Pinto
Pedro
last year
Strop.
was supposedly the Nationals' main closer. We signed him, tried to get him, and he was not even like our setup man.
I don't even.
Yeah.
I still don't see Pedro Strop as a closer. He
No, he's the
should be
setup man.
their setup man.
Exactly.
Right.
I think the same thing. I do like that.
In a perfect world where they have a guy like Aroldis Chapman, yeah, I agree.
Well,
But I'm saying if they can get their
Like
hands
Roll
on a
Chapman.
closer.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if
Yeah.
they do go out and get a big name guy, your best case scenario is you have that shutdown guy for the ninth inning, and you've got Morrow for the eighth if he comes back and he's healthy. This is best case scenario, by the way.
Yeah,
And let's say they all come
which
back
looks
healthy.
less and less likely every
Correct,
day.
but
though.
if you have
Imagine Morrow
you'd
not
have
being a
Morrow
closer.
and Strope for the seventh.
Morrow
I'm just
won't
saying
be a
that's a
closer.
pretty
well, he's probably not coming
it's a
back.
great
the
end of
rest
the
this
belt,
year.
end of the bullpen. I'd take that every day.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens once. I think it's June 1st, or maybe it's like May 25th or something. But there's a date that if that player is signed,
First
then,
sounds right.
yeah, that the compensatory pick comes in. Yeah, that does sound right because the draft is like the
Yeah.
week after. And I really don't want. I mean, bidding wars are fine, but let's keep it realistic. I mean, if we're going to sign a guy through hopefully October and early November, I mean, let's not go crazy and spend $30 million on a guy for 5 months.
Okay, I get that, but what's that going to hurt us going forward? Like, is it going to hurt next year's cap if we just sign them for 5 months and give them? We have the money. Why does it matter? I mean, unless we're going to go out and maybe sign some other guys in the future, what would it really matter?
I mean, that I don't know if there's an impact on what a team's.
I mean, I get what you mean. You don't want to spend too much money, but really and truthfully, if you're going to sign them for 5 months, you have everyone locked down that you want for the rest of the year. It doesn't really matter what you spend.
But
you don't want to
but
spend
you
too
also
much.
have to look at what do the Cubs have available for money and what is the
And that's
cap
been the
hit.
biggest question. Do
Yeah,
they actually
that's
have
what
any
we
money?
don't know because no
Yeah.
one's talking about it.
The
So
Cubs like to do that with a lot of things they do.
yeah, we noted we talked about that earlier. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting because I think it's going to come down. Honestly, I hate to be raining on the parade, but I think it's going to come down to him going to Milwaukee or Atlanta, and hopefully the Cubs can come in and do something about that. But I'm not going to rest this season on that. That's going to be the reason we're going to win a World Series. The Cubs are going to win a World Series this year because of the offense. And yes, you would like to
No,
show.
they're going to win a World Series because we have the best starting pitching in the league right now.
Well, that's
I
true,
think
too.
That's the main reason why we would win because we have one of the four, maybe three. Hamels is really, really good at home.
Yeah.
Lester has the best ERA in the league right now. Hendricks is just on fire as of
Well, in
late.
the same breath, the Cubs have the best offense in baseball, right? I believe they lead the league in runs per game and run differential in the National League, maybe not the American League, but
But wouldn't it kill though if you had this offense and this rotation that's really doing well, and then at the end of the year, the one thing we were all worried about, not having that guy in the bullpen, if that ruins it, that's the same thing.
there's
that we
also,
just
I
did with
mean,
Bears fans.
there's some statistics I've seen that yes, Kimbrel would be great, but he wasn't great last year
Like I
in
said, it doesn't have to
Boston.
be Kimbrel. It could be any. I'm not saying it has to be.
Yeah, I
like,
think if you
the
make a move
biggest
to
name.
shore it up, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't go out and go get it. I don't think this is the bullpen. If you're going to win a World Series, I don't think this is the bullpen you necessarily
I'm going to
want.
take a hot take. I think if we're going to win the World Series, Strope's got to be our eighth inning guy.
Yeah.
And I-
At
I-
least.
See, but I think the Cubs
At
can win a
least.
World Series if he's still your closer.
See, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying they can't. I'm
I
just
love
saying
him.
that.
I just think the starting pitching is good enough, and I think the offense is good enough that
I think
yes,
if Edwards can get back into
He's
form.
been forced. He's not. I mean, he wasn't put into the closing spot. He was forced into the closing spot because they didn't have any other closers to have. So I mean,
If Edwards got back into form, would you be happy with Edwards in the eighth and Strope in the ninth?
yeah,
No.
but he's a long way.
I know
away
he
from
is. I know
back
he
and
is.
forth.
I
In a
really have
perfect
Kinsler
scenario,
and
yeah.
Cishek in the eighth. Right, as of right now, and even if Carl gets it back to what he is supposed to be, I still take Kinsler and Cishek in the eighth. They're just more dependable.
Yeah.
And how many supposed to be pitchers can we have in the bullpen? Mike Montgomery, Tyler Chatwood. Like I
Yeah.
like Mike Montgomery. I like Tyler Chatwood, but first of all, we're paying Tyler Chatwood a lot of money to be our bullpen dude.
Yeah.
He's
And,
actually been good.
I mean, he's been good, but I mean, he's been put in
You know what?
situations where he's almost set up not to fail either.
Call me
Yeah.
crazy. He's actually kind of an option at closer if things go awry.
He was throwing some smoke the other
his
day.
spin rate on his fastball is ridiculous.
I'm not saying he doesn't have the
He
stuff.
does.
It's just you got to consistently throw strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Which he
yes.
has done this
Yes.
year.
He's been better about this. I mean, that's just a crazy.
Yeah,
thought
I
just
don't
had.
hate
I don't
that.
know.
I really don't.
I don't know.
But I also just I'm not 100% convinced that that Kimbrel's going to come in and just be like Kenley Jansen or something. Like he's had some some struggles in the last couple of years.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
And I agree. The closer is going to be a point of contention from here to the playoffs. But you can't just if you sign Kimbrel, that doesn't automatically mean that it's going to work out.
I would just I would feel a lot better though.
Yeah. If we go, because yes, last year we got Kinsler to go in that spot, didn't work out at all. You got to really be able to, especially if you're on not a very good team, to keep that same mindset and then come over and keep it going.
Right.
Because if you're on a crappy team that they're wanting to trade you, you're not in a lot of closing spots in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, and that's also like a mental. Like we got lucky in a couple spots, or I'm sorry, not we. There's been a lot of players get lucky that are like kind of ring chasing and they were beaten down. Shoot, look at Cole Hamels last year. He's one of the worst starting pitchers in baseball. He gets sent to Chicago and he's a gem. You know, we're having all of this discussion and this argument over something that we might not ever know the answer to, and is, do the Cubs have enough capital in the ownership to go out and spend $20 to $30 million on? We don't know.
No. All indications say no, because if they did, they would have signed someone in the offseason.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm not putting all my eggs in that basket right now.
No, but who were we looking to go get during the offseason?
This offseason?
Yeah, I get
Kimbrel was an option.
I mean, there was always the talk about them being in on Bryce Harper,
and
Machado, and all that stuff, and all the finances got called into question.
You got to think about the future. You got to think about what you want to do with Hobby, what you want to do with Chris, what you want to do with that. And
Bryant's going to walk.
What?
Chris Bryant's not going to be a Cub for life. Bryant's going to walk.
I think Rizzo's going to be the one to walk.
I don't think
Rizzo's going to have a choice.
Rizzo's not walking. I think he's not. I think.
Right.
I don't see Bryant coming back.
He's been having. I know they sit him out every once in a while for the back, but he's 29 years old.
I think it's a hip action, and when he's at bat is what causes that back problem, right? You know, the moving of the hips every time he's.
How'd that go?
We're arguing about it.
Do that again for me.
You see it every time he's up bat, so you know what I'm talking about.
But we are sitting here arguing about maybe the best. I think the winning percentage best team in baseball right now. So
yeah,
we got a good problem on our hands here.
Yeah.
The bullpen has been solid as of late. Not really tonight though. But Chris Bryant, speaking of Chris Bryant, he is unbelievable right now. On fire. He's also showed he's a super utility player.
Yeah, absolutely. He played first base tonight.
Yeah, Anthony Rizzo's
Did
like,
the Cubs
I'll go
have
play
3 walk-off home runs last week?
They did.
Yep.
We got. I'd like this. This one will hopefully give us a little bit. Mike and Beers chiming in. Steph Curry was the 7th pick. Oh,
yeah, okay.
Don't forget, boys.
So was Kirk Heinrich.
That was a hell of a draft. That was a hell of a draft, though.
Yeah, it was.
So, I mean, we could hope we get a Steph Curry, and hopefully we don't get. I mean, I like Kirk Heinrich, but if we're going to be,
let's go down the list and look at who's been taken
Heinrich.
7th. I'm sure there's a lot more turds than there are Steph Currys. But the Sox are sitting at 19 and 22. They are in 3rd place. They're 3 games below 500, but they are 7.5 games out.
Just the Minnesota Twins are on fire.
Minnesota Twins are playing some really good baseball. Timmy Anderson's starting to cool down just a touch.
And he had 2 home runs in Toronto this past weekend.
Toronto's also terrible.
Well, I get that, but if the
Yeah,
Cubs hit
no,
a home
I'm
run
just
against the Marlins,
The Sox really are starting to get fun to watch.
Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely.
Sadly, Rodon goes
It's not
down.
a comedy act anymore.
Carlos Rodon going down.
Rotation is hard to
Back with
watch.
the same thing. But
This
the
is
Cubs
proof as to why you buy your pitching.
Yeah, but you can't really say. I guess, but we could have bought pitching, and the guy needed Kyle Hendricks. We kind of brought up. You can't. You can't just build it, but you can't say the injuries aren't going to happen though with pitchers nowadays, especially with the way
they're a lot more
devastating
though.
To go to Tommy John though. If
You're right though.
John just tends to change guys.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to draft hitters and have a stockpile of hitters than it is to have a stockpile of pitchers and hope that works out.
Yeah, hope you got no one blows.
You can
your
buy
arm
some
out.
veteran pitchers that'll be good. You can't always buy some good veteran hitters. That's just not how the game works.
Exactly. No, it's tough, and it's tough to see that go down. But like you said, Troy, they are kind of Tim Anderson comes to the plate. You might want to tune in if you're not doing anything. He's hitting the ball well.
Moncada had 2 homers, I think, yesterday or the day before.
Is Eloy back yet?
No, not yet.
Still
not. I think he's returning like next week, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Just make him a DH and just call it a day.
They're very lucky of what the injury was. I know high ankle sprain, but you got lucky with that. It looked like he shattered his
I thought he
ankle.
broke. We were watching the video. I think when you were here, Zach, we were like, "How is that not a broken leg or a broken ankle?"
Not look good.
You hate to look back on it, but look at Kyle Schwarber. He plays the outfield, maybe not the best footed at first, and I mean, Dexter Fowler and him ran into each other. It may have been a miscommunication, but it could have been because of his outfield skills. And it doesn't really seem like Eloy has the best outfield skills.
No,
He's a
exactly.
DH.
So if you have but you say that, but I guess Jose Abreu usually plays first base, but you want to kind of put him in that spot too. He's a little young, they say, to play DH. Frank Thomas, they said, was way too young when he started DHing, but he didn't really care.
I'm just saying, if Eloy's going to be the talent at the plate they think he's going to be, then there's no reason to put him in the field and risk it if you have the option to put him at DH. Now, if you have a guy who's the same way as him and has it, like, let's say you bring in a guy who, I don't know, was just a horrible first baseman, like, sure, let him DH and let Eloy play the outfield. But if you have the option to, I love Eloy play DH.
I would like to say something. I'm kind of proud of our boy over here. He must have learned something from me from the Masters talk. It's his pick in our draft for the PGA Championship, and I just saw him type in strokes gained by approach for the PGA. Something he probably would have never thought about. I think you need to make your last pick live on the show. So once you figure that out,
I will.
You can make your last pick for
I
the
will.
draft
I
live.
will let everybody
All
know.
right. Yeah.
Or we could not. But speaking of golf, we can move on to that. We're getting a little long here. PGA. We got our boy Troy here. Let's see what you got to say.
Is Tiger going to repeat?
No.
I didn't think so.
No, actually, I think Tiger, and I said it before the last time. I think Tiger's best chance still to win another majors this year will be the British. His long irons are great. That's just where I think he has the best chance. I'll try to run through this stuff real quick. Some course history they're at Bethpage Black. They had the U.S. Open in 2002. Tiger actually did win it there in 2002. Actually, the last time it was the first two tournaments, first two majors, obviously is always the Masters, and then the second one used to be the U.S. Open. The last time Tiger won back-to-back was 2002 at the Masters and at Bethpage Black.
Quick question. Is it when it moved up 2 months, a month? Is that going to play into it at all with the guy's mindset, or is it a little chill? I think I've seen some guys pull up to the Bethpage with some jackets on, a little chill.
Right,
Will
right.
that matter?
No, I don't think
the firmness, or what you think?
They've actually gotten so much rain. I was going to talk about that. They've gotten so much rain that the course is going to play even longer. I mean, it's kind of been like our spring the last couple of weeks, and they just get it. You know, they're over on the East Coast, and they get it after us, and they're actually supposed to be getting some rain. They were getting some rain this week, and maybe tomorrow and Friday, the first couple of rounds. So distance is going to be a huge thing. Like I was saying, Tiger won in 2002. Then another U.S. Open was there in 2009 when Lucas Glover won it, and that was a rain-soaked weekend. The course has been a part of the FedEx Playoffs in 2012 and in 2016. Nick Watney and Patrick Reed won those ones. Those were the first rounds. They don't set the course up like a U.S. Open, and I think the PGA Championship this weekend will kind of be between the U.S. Open and those FedEx Playoffs.
I saw a little funny video of Patrick Reed and his girlfriend showing up, and they just walked right through the practice screen. They just walked right through, like they didn't even care. Both of them just walked right through the practice screen, didn't even care. They were.
Is he still down in the green jacket from a year?
Probably is.
I mean, why not? Right? It's your major.
He's a bag.
And then they're going to be back at this course, I know, in 2021 and 2027 for the Barclays, FedEx Playoffs, and actually the Ryder Cup's going to be there in 2024.
Has Jimmy Walker been picked?
Jimmy Walker has not been picked. All right, so little course setup. During the U.S. Opens, hole 7 is actually one of the most difficult holes. It was a par 4 during the U.S. Opens and then changed to a par 5 when it was the FedEx Playoffs. They've actually changed that back to a par 4 now. It's 525 yards. To give you a little thought, we've all played Mendota before. Think of 10 at Mendota. The blues is 555. So actually, the whites from Mendota, it would be a par 4.
Cool.
Just imagine that.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah.
I would be like, I'm going to need 20 shots.
525 yards. So it's extremely difficult course. And since they're turning from a par 5 back to par 4, it's going to be a par 70. The course is 7,425 yards. Mendota from the tips is 6,100. I mean, you're almost adding 90 yards per hole. There are 3 par 3s over 200. That's nothing, though. Mendota's got 3 par 3s over. They got 3 par 3s over 200, but they have 3 par 4s over 500 yards, and they have 78 total bunkers. To think of something like that, I keep referencing our home course, Mendota. They have 34 bunkers, so more than double.
Wow.
And so Couple thoughts I got going in. Obviously, there's a lot more hype for the PGA. The PGA is normally last. They moved it up to the second tournament, so now we have 4 majors in a row, kind of 5, with the players. And obviously, Tiger coming off that win, Zila winning the money off the chance, boom on that Sunday bet. But it wasn't. I mean,
Has this guy been picked?
Zach had no. I knew you were gonna pick him. Zach
had him from the beginning.
Zach had him from the beginning. He had the faith.
I just jumped on at the right time.
So actually,
trolling.
Actually, I think it's better.
Made money, didn't it?
Like Zach was saying earlier, I think it's better for the PGA to be moved up because it's usually the last major, and it doesn't get quite as hype. It's not the U.S. Open. It's not the British. It's not the Masters. And the British Open is not the last one, which is still going to have all the fame and glory. I mean, it is the British Open. People love the British Open. It's not going to lose any of that kind of type of fire.
Stupid question. Should all golfers be allowed to use a cart like John Daly is this week?
I've actually heard against that.
Did you see that? I mean,
yeah, it's awesome. He's
no, I know, but I've also heard some pushback from that too.
Oh, there's been a lot of pushback, but
that if he's not in the shape to walk the course, then they should give his spot.
Did you hear what Tiger said?
What did he say?
Tiger's like, I played with a broken leg.
Tiger
which
said,
wasn't
I walked
accurate.
the course on a broken leg.
He had a torn ACL, not a broken leg.
Oh goodness gracious!
Get your facts straight, bro.
But the rough won't be
your horrible injuries, right?
The rough won't be as bad as when there's U.S. Opens there. It won't be just like a penalty stroke. They'll still be able to hit the green, especially. I mean, the wetness and the rain is going to make the rough hard to hit out of, but it's also going to make the shots into the greens more receptive.
Have you looked at the weather? What's it supposed to be like this weekend?
It's actually supposed to be raining cold the first couple of days, but then it's supposed to lighten up and be a little bit nicer over the weekend. So you might see the lower scores coming in the weekend. So it might just be a battle.
Okay.
156 players and only 70 players plus ties make cut. So yeah, it's not like the Masters. Remember we talked about only like 85 real guys really have a chance to make the cut, and 70 plus ties. This is 156 and 70.
That's a ton of golfers.
Because this is a PGA event. They have 20 PGA pros from around the country get to play in this. They qualified and they get to play in it.
That number just seems so high.
Yeah.
Now, I had heard somewhere, and this might have been from some idiots, I don't know, but that scoring is going to be hard this weekend, that you might see a winner in, like, the single digits. Is that a possibility?
When Tiger won in 2002, he was actually the only player under par. He beat Phil by 4 shots. So the winners for when the U.S. Open is course here, and the U.S. Open course is always set up a lot harder. Grow the rough longer, tighter fairways. Those is 1, 2, 3 under par. When it was the tournaments were here for the Barclays in like 2016 and 2012, the winners were at about 8 or 9 under par, and I think the PGA is going to set up kind of in between there. I think you're going to be looking at a winner somewhere between 5 and 7 under par.
Wow.
So not crazy.
You're not going to see like 18 under this weekend.
Right. And talking about kind of stuff I hit on in the Masters, I think you really need to look at if you're looking at guys that bet or DraftKings, FanDuel, stuff like that, you really want to look at guys or best at strokes gained total. I mean, tee to green, everything. And the top guys you're really looking at is Brooks, Fowler, Rory, Jason Day, Finau, Molinari, DJ, and Patrick Reed.
So there's some names for you guys.
If you take out putting and you look at stats just from tee to green, not including putting, you're looking at Rory, Day, Molinari, Reed, Finau, Bubba, and Stenson. That's what your top list is, and you really want long, accurate hitters, and that game strokes in all part of the game. And then another stat, and I talk about this more because I got some players I want to kind of throw out there as my last thing to talk about, is a stat that I really looked into for this course is because it's such a long course, such a demanding course, it's strokes you want to gain either if you're hitting long irons like 200 plus, because I said there are 3 par 3s that are 200 plus, or think about when you hit into a bad situation, you punch out to the fairway, you're 7,500 yards. The guys who can get up and down from 75 to 100 yards. And those are the stats you really want to look to, if you can get up and down from 75 to 100 yards, not get 2 feet and get out with par and not lose a stroke to the field, that's a really good thing.
Adds a lot to it. So do you have a guy like a deep, maybe throw a sprinkle, because you gave some really good ones,
right?
Really late.
So my not at the very top of my stretch guy, a little bit down in the odds is, and it's a household name, everyone's heard it before, is Sergio Garcia. When I've looked into Sergio, when I've looked into my stats and looking up for this tournament for TCF, he's actually got top 10 in all 3 tournaments he's played at Bethpage Black. He has distance and accuracy. He's actually second in the field in strokes gained by approach, ninth in proximity gain from that 75 to 100 yards like I was talking about.
Mhm.
So he's ninth on that. 21st on par fours that are 450 to 500 yards.
Jesus.
And the last thing is these greens at Bethpage Black are actually the grass is called, it's a Poa Anua? A-N-N-U-A. Poa Anua.
You just made that up.
No, I did not. You can look
It's a
it up.
made-up
Everybody
word.
calls it Poa, though. It's a putting surface where actually Sergio puts 10 times better on this. He's gained strokes
Wish I'd have known that.
in 11 of his last 16 rounds on Poa. And but like I said, this is my stretch pick because he has missed the cut in the last 6
Yeah,
majors
he's
that he's
struggled
played in.
lately.
My fade that I'm going to say for a really top guy, and Zilo's not going to like this, it's Brooks Koepka.
Brooks Koepka.
Zilo is not going to like that. It's Brooks Koepka because over the last 3 months, he's 60th in strokes gained off the tee and 48th in strokes gained off approach. So
He
know
lost some
why?
of his muscle mass.
Because
I think
he does
that's probably
not
why.
golf after the season's over for like months out on end.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
So he's getting back into it.
He shows up for the
He's
majors.
getting back in the swing.
As we were talking about John Daly, it says that he hates having to use the cart and he would not use it. He probably wouldn't play if the tournament didn't mean so much to him. So it says that he thinks it's a disadvantage for him with the hilliness of it. He doesn't like it. And then it says Tiger Woods did not sound sympathetic Tuesday.
No.
Tiger Woods.
He did not sound this sympathetic.
We like Tiger Woods. Still Tiger Woods.
So who's your deep
nice
guy? Like if I'm
My-
gonna sprinkle
My
like
deep sleeper, he's
Give me
like,
like a-
250 to 1.
yeah,
All right.
give me
It-
one of those.
The Australian Ryan Fox. You probably never heard of him.
Nope.
Ryan Fox. All right. You actually have to look at the European Tour stats. He's top 5 in greens and regulation. He's top 20 off the tee, top 20 in approach to the greens, and top 10 from tee to green. He's got a win on the European Tour this year. He's actually made all 3 cuts in his last year. He played in 3 majors last year, made the cut in all 3. I think he's that really deep guy.
Give me $5 to win this thing. They'll probably win me like a couple hundred.
What's
He's
your
got to
math
be
on 5
deep.
times
I
200?
don't know. $1,000.
There you go. And
So
then,
who's gonna win this thing?
Um,
Like realistically, who's your guy? Who's the guy you're taking to the bookie? Say, give me this guy to win the PGA Championship.
and you know, every guy you pick you can say good stuff and bad stuff about
Sure.
him. My pick to win, and he's never won a major before. He's got quality wins on tour. It's going to be Xander. It's going to be X-Man, Xander Schauffele. He's got top 10 in 4 of the last 6 majors. He's long, accurate.
But he has a stupid name.
You don't like Xander?
I like Xander, but
don't
his
like
last
Schauffele?
yeah, it's spelled weird. There's too many
You
F's.
can't spell it. Is that
No,
why?
God no.
So if we're not in a good position over here.
No, it's not looking good for the
The
Cubs,
reason I did pick Xander is because what I was talking about this whole time, that the strokes gained from that 75 to 100 or 200
but-
plus
Okay.
in the last 24 rounds, he's one of 6 players in this field that he's in the top 20 in the last 24 rounds. And if you go all the way back to the last 75 rounds, he's actually one of 3 players in the top 20. So I really like that about Xander.
He played pretty well at the Masters too.
Yes, he did. The one thing about him, he can struggle getting up and down around the greens. But
Yeah.
I mean, if he gets hot, you know, he's a pro golfer. Anybody can win on a weekend.
Love
So,
it.
yeah.
Love it. Take that information to your bookies, guys. Troy knows what he's talking about. How'd you do in the
Golf.
Masters pool?
Golf is hard to bet on.
I think I got 4. No, I did bad this time.
Yeah,
I did
you
bad
did
this time. I got like 10th.
But you did give some up. The Cubs just lost on a walk-off walk-off single from Yasiel Puig. Oh, season's over. Burn it down. Wait for Egoy's tweet.
Trade everybody.
All right, we got candy. Can we get to candy? I'm hungry. What do we got, Big Z?
He's just opened up. He's hungry.
We got caramel white chocolate Twix.
I do love white chocolate. Big fan. Split it up, big boy. Oh, you're not.
Give me a small piece. I'll be part of
That's
it.
almost a perfect tear. This is probably gonna be fire. No, that is not very good.
There's a weird taste to it.
Yeah, it does.
Not my favorite.
Is that the white chocolate? That's the
Yeah.
weird taste?
And I love white chocolate
Same.
too.
I like it.
Oh boy.
I'll give it a 3.1
It's a little high.
for you. We have different taste buds.
2.8.
I don't like candy, so what's this out of 4?
4.
So if I rate candy, I rated it like 3 at the highest. So I'm gonna have to rate this at like a 0.8. I wouldn't be harsh
I
on it
was
'cause
going
I'm
to
not a
say
candy fan.
1.9. And
Yeah.
I love white chocolate, but that was not that good.
So let's move on to our TCF top. We'll do 3 golfers.
Yep, 3 golfers that we're going to take in the PGA tournament this weekend.
Bringing your odds up.
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
Should
Let
we-
Troy go first.
Yep.
You're letting me
Actually,
pick
we
first?
shouldn't go.
No, I'll go
Yeah,
last.
he's
You
the
have
most.
to go last.
I'll go last.
All right.
I'll go first. I'll take Brooks Koepka.
Yeah, I knew you would.
Your father one.
You're not
he
taking
won-
your boy?
He won me over. Who?
Is Brooks more boy than Tiger?
It's gonna be tough to go back to back.
Recency bias.
But Brooks Koepka won me over this morning. He's a great interview.
No, Brooks Cap. All right.
Best buds.
Game
Who
boy?
you got, buddy?
I'll take Tiger then.
All right. Hang on. I have to pull up my legitimate stats. Strokes.
Strokes gained.
Thank you.
Just look at what people drafted.
Tell me how to live my life. I need you pushing me down there.
When we thinks he's been learning stuff, he's trying.
That's a dangerous spot for the world to be in. Give me Rory.
I knew you were going to take him good. That means I'm going to have to. Are we doing a snake?
Yeah, so you get 2 picks.
We got 2 picks here. I'm going to take Ricky Fowler. And I am going to take Dustin Johnson. I'm going with the big guys.
All right, I'm going to steal one from him. I'm going to take Xander.
Xander. All right.
Who was your first pick, Boom?
What did I say, Rory?
Yeah, it was
Rory.
Rory. Yep.
All right, let's see here. I'm already forgetting how to pronounce this. Matt Kuchar.
Kuchar. Oh,
Take
Kuchar.
him.
That was
That actually wasn't bad.
Taking him.
I'll take Kinsler. Is it Kevin
Kisner.
Kisner. Kevin Kisner.
All right, who's your third pick there, Big Z? Kisner's not a bad choice.
He's a
actually.
You know what? I'll
little-
take Francisco Molinari.
Oh,
Coming off of
Francesco.
his match.
I got so excited. I thought he was on my team, so I was cheering for him all day Saturday. And then I looked at my team. I'm like, yeah, he's not on my team.
for the match.
So, yeah.
I know.
But then you're glad. 'Cause
yeah.
he jumped in the water
He
3
ran the
times.
water though,
or
but
twice.
he hit 3. Hit 3. So, but
Yeah,
I
it's
think
true.
it's nice to roll over. He's got
And
a
I
little
won on
confidence.
Tiger, so I don't really care.
Then I'll go with I like your analysis on Sergio. So I'm gonna go with Sergio here.
Sergio.
I know he's missed a cut, which is the last 6 times, but
He's the worst.
he's due.
Justin
He's
Thomas.
Oh, good thing I told you that he withdrew.
Oh, that's right. Hideki Matsuyama. Give me Hideki. No. Actually, you can have Hideki because
I don't want Hideki.
Okay, well, then my third pick is going to be my first pick from the draft is Tommy Fleetwood.
That's
That's
a
my
great pick.
guy.
I think if you pick a guy and you're very confident and he's not in there,
Then I'm
you
going to
should
go
pick
my
him.
first pick of the draft. I'm going to go Jason Day
Good
to finish
choice.
it out. All right.
Good choice.
Love it.
All right. We went right about an hour there, Big Z. Not terrible timing.
No, it's not. You can follow me at TCF on Twitter. You can follow the main page at Tickle_Chicago. Follow the Loop Sports at the Loop_Sports. You are watching us here on the Typical Chicago Fans Facebook Live, or you were shared by the Loop Sports Facebook or Instagram. Typical Chicago Fans. It's Loop Sports. Boomy, what was the thing you wanted to maybe tell some?
Yeah,
I don't
just
know if
keep,
maybe they haven't liked the page yet.
Yeah, we're only I think 3 likes away on Facebook. So make sure you tell your friends, share it to people who have any interest in any Chicago sports or just like to listen to idiots talk about sports. Also, keep our guy, producer Joe, in your thoughts and prayers. He's going through some health stuff right now. So keep Joe in your thoughts and prayers. Follow me on Twitter at BoomyTCF. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page. Subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts, and follow us on Spotify.
All right. Remember, you can follow me at TCF Gameboy. And remember, if you want to buy one of our shirts, it's $15. If you can buy it here locally, we can drop it off to you. You can come pick it up. Otherwise, it's $20 for us to ship it. If you are interested, make sure you just DM one of us, and we'll get it to you.
And Troy, what's your Twitter so the fine folks out there in the world can follow you on Sunday as you tweet 75 times and I retweet and like all of them?
And you can follow me at TB Golfing.
GOLFN, right?
GOLFN.
All right.
Also, shout out to our sponsor, SeatGeek. I'll be going to the Sox game maybe on Saturday.
I think
If
he's
it-
kind
if
of
it's going
becoming
to
a
rain.
closet Sox fan down there.
Ooh.
Remember at the beginning of the season, he was, I'm so against it.
Now he's going to games? Yeah, that helps a lot.
So, if you want to, type in the promo code TheLoopSports. Your first purchase, you get a $20 off of your first purchase. So you might be able to pay 2, maybe 3 White Sox tickets with that $20. So
No kidding.
Yeah.
because that's
Heck
how they're
yeah.
going. Also, shout out to 26shirts.com. They got some cool shirts. They got the Super Mario Bros. I don't know if that's what it says on there, but it's
something
KB
like that.
and Rizzo. It's a cool shirt. I saw one other shirt that they had a new one of. Oh, it's Chicago, and it's like in the Marvel letters on there. So shout out to
Marvelous.
26shirts.com Chicago. What?
Yeah, it says it's called the Marvelous shirt.
Okay. And then shout out Monkey Knife Fight. Type in the promo code LOOP. You get $100. Match your deposit up to $100. It's good for daily fantasy. Our guy Matt Schofield came in. He said, "I think the 7.2 is what you can do. You can build some stuff for daily fantasy. I don't know if there's really anything for the Monkey Knife Fight, but with the playoffs, the Raptors are up 4 going into the fourth quarter.
Plenty of time. A lot of
It's in baseball too. It's a lot of cool over unders, strikes, hits, RBIs. If you're into daily fantasy, if you are trying to stay away from lines, like the overs and unders, like I probably should, then you can go to Monkey Knife Fight, type in the promo code LOOP, and they'll match your deposit up to $100. Again, thank you to Troy for coming on here and talking about the PGA Tour, our guy, our golf guy. I also seen shout out to Pigoy, who doesn't like to come on our podcast, but goes on other people's podcasts. Talks about horses. So that's nice of him. Like a little shout out, shots fired.
Do we cancel him?
We could run
Canceled.
I don't think you can run some. You can't really cancel somebody who runs Twitter. So
He's canceled from the podcast.
yeah, he's a Viking.
Troy, you want a job?
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, shout out to you. Thank you for listening or watching. We love you.
Peace.